How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Mr. Pali's remote learning physics class. Today we're going to be doing our first at-home project. We're going to be building and experimenting with spaghetti bridges. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about what that is, but first let me show you what you need to do today's experiment. So, first thing, box of pasta, whole wheat, whatever is fine. Just you need at least 10 pieces to really do this experiment, 20 to be safe. You're going to need some water and a bunch of water in one pot. And then you're going to need a larger pot on the bottom. You're going to need two surfaces to suspend your pasta bridge. It's got to be a distance where the pasta can rest like that. And then finally, you're going to need something to carry your weight. So what I did, I took a old yogurt container. I made two holes on the side. One hole right there. Another hole right here. Oops, sorry. One hole right there. Another hole on the other side right here. I punctured those two holes with the knife, and then I ran a piece of dental floss through it. You don't have to use dental floss. You can use whatever you want. You can use string, whatever you have in the house. I just used dental floss because that's what I had. So then I made this little container here that I can hang on my bridge. So I'll show you what that looks like now. Oh, and one last thing. Two things. You're going to need some tape. This is how you're going to keep your bridge stuck to your chairs or stools. And then you're going to need something to measure the amount of water. So the water is going to serve as the weight. Alright. I'll show you how to set it up. So we're going to start off with just one single piece of pasta. We're going to rest it. I'm going to bring these close enough that the pasta can rest easily on the two ends. We're going to take a piece of tape. Put a piece of tape on each end of the string. Or each end of the pasta. And before you put it on the second end, though, you're going to need to get your cup over the piece of pasta so that it's hanging now. And then put a piece of tape on the other side just so it stays in place. Alright. So, to keep everything clean, you're going to want a big pot of water here. And if you're really worried about getting any spilled water on the floor, use a big pot. Maybe even put some newspaper underneath that pot if you're worried. I'm doing it on a carpet, so I'm not too worried about it. But keep a big pot underneath so that when this falls, eventually it's going to get too heavy. Bucket's going to fall, break the pasta. It's going to fall in there. So let's give it a shot. So I'm using a measuring cup. I've got half a cup of water in here. If you don't have a half cup, you can use whatever you've got, even if it's a spoon. The important thing is that you count the number of units of water that you're going to be using here. Alright. So I'm going to pour in 1/2 cup. Alright. So one piece of pasta is holding up that half cup of water. So it successfully held that. I'm going to add in another half cup, to which will equal 1 full cup now. Alright, so it did not make it to 1 full cup, so that means our first trial one piece of pasta, which is now broken, was able to hold 1/2 cup of water. So what you're going to be doing is, on a lined piece of paper, you want to be filling in a data table that looks something like this. Alright, so along the top, we've got our trials, trial 1, trial 2, trial 3, and then we'll be calculating our average at the end. And then we've got our rows, where we're going to experiment with 1 piece of pasta, 3, 5, and 7 pieces of pasta. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in that first spot at the table. So it's going to look like that. So again, if you don't have a 1/2 cup measure, you can use a full cup measure. You can use tablespoons. If you got like heavy things like marbles, you could use that. Use whatever you'd like. You just got to be consistent about it. And remember, for each pasta, you're going to do 3 trials. So I'm going to do the second trial now. So to do the second trial, we're going to have to discard this piece of pasta. And, you know, if you want to save this, you can. Just because it's broken doesn't mean you can't cook it and eat it later. So we got our new fresh piece of pasta. Oh, remember, we've got to empty out our water here. Put our container back on there. And I'm going to dump out this water so it doesn't splash too much. Oh. Here, we'll set that up again. That's what we get for moving the stool. So yeah, you want to dump out that water each time just so you can avoid making too much of a splash. So let's try that again. Still got our tape here. One piece. Oh. Remember, I just forgot to actually put our cup. Alright, now we're ready to go for trial 2. This time I add 1/2. Alright. Not bad. Ooh, okay. So again, it held up with 1/2 cup of water, but when I added that full cup of water, not so good. So again, we're gonna be put in under trial 2. Putting 1/2 cup for trial 2. So if you're really precise with how you do the experiment, you should be getting similar results for each trial, even as you add more and more pieces of pasta to the bridge. Alright? So your task for today is to focus on collecting that data, and then you'll be calculating the average. So to calculate the average, what you'll need to do is add up your 3 trials and then divide by the number of trials. So in this case, that's going to be 3. All right, good luck.